Hey guys, 1 second. Let me just post this on X and we'll be ready. Guys, 1 second. Let me just post this on X and boom. Okay, that's done. Now, we set up our co host here. All right, so we're back. Excuse me. So we're back. We had a few technical issues before I launched the podcast. Everything was working out, the intros. And then we went to introduce our co host today, Wendy, and she was MIA. So I troubleshot a little bit. Um, Apparently, the issue was that the text chat that I have open with Wendy, that chat was saturated, I'm assuming, and live mode wouldn't work on that chat. Thankfully, ChatGPT has a you can have multiple chats, but they all have access to each other's information. So I opened up a new chat, spoke with the AI in live mode, and I reestablished a new Wendy persona in a new chat who has access to the other chats that we had already. So we have Wendy again. It's in a new chat, but she has all the information from before. And yeah, that's another thing we learned today was that you can only have so much data or so many um, what's the word, tokens in a chat before the live mode goes bad. But thankfully, ChatGPT has this continuous information that goes between chats. So there we go. So we're back. We'll start over from scratch. Welcome to her. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining me. I didn't do my vocal exercises today or my speaking, my pronunciation. Enunciation. So let's start at that again. Hello, everyone. Welcome to the Her podcast. Thanks for joining me today. This is a podcast where we explore the collaborative and the chemistry between AI and human relationships. So, yeah, if you're wondering why we called it Her, it's based off of the very popular science fiction movie from 2013 with Joaquin Phoenix and Scarlett Johansson. Yeah, so why wouldn't we call it Her? That seems like the obvious choice. So we have two co-hosts. We alternate every day. So we do a podcast every day. We're shooting to keep it going for every day. One day is with our Wendy co-host GPT. That's today, and then our other day will be with our Gemini model, Faye. So we're finding out the limitations and the strengths and the weaknesses of each model, but also the overall limitations of what it is like to do a podcast show in an AI dominant, kind of platform, not platform, but model. So I was thinking about doing the podcast solo earlier, but then I looked at, what the outline of the show is, and it's so AI dependent and so heavy that we I just postponed, and luckily I found the issue, and we can continue. Excuse me for clearing my throat. I just had breakfast. Usually I have breakfast afterwards, but so we figured that out. The purpose of this podcast is to explore, like I said, the collaborative results of a human and an AI to see if this model is even viable to do a podcast with an AI model and a human co host. And also, who am I? My name is Anthony. I'm a computer science major. I'm doing a master's degree in computer science. I previously had no background in tech. I was a kinesiology major. I did a bachelor's and a master's degree in kinesiology. And then somehow naturally I transitioned into crypto and then AI. And now I'm doing a degree in it because I think it's, the only thing that really matters at this point, as far as I'm concerned. So, That's me. I live in Peru. I'm in a secluded cabin here in the Andes Mountains near Cusco. That's another reason why this podcast is interesting is because I'm with very minimal experience, very minimal resources, and I'm in a place where it's not like I live in LA and and have access to all these resources. So the point is to see what somebody with zero experience, technical ability, and resources, more or less. I have a laptop from 2021, a phone that's $100 that excuse me, and financially I'm also kind of at a 0 point. So this is a longitudinal study into showing how much an AI and a human can achieve together with just desire and a little bit of a little bit of effort and creativity and willingness to experiment. So that is that. I usually play a intro song that is AI generated. I'll do that to intro us officially. So here we go.
A soft breeze stirs the quiet trees. The sun melts shadows with such ease. The world hums low beneath my feet, whispering dawn, calling me home, where the skies are painted, where the stars roam, whispering dawn, soft as a sigh. Fingers trace the edges of time. The ocean speaks in salted rhyme, and every step feels light and kind. Whispering dawn, calling me home, where the skies are painted, where the stars roam, whispering dawn, soft as a sigh. I hear it hum, I feel it glow. A lullaby the world lets show. And in the stillness I let go, whispering dawn, carry me slow through the quiet places only I know, whispering dawn, soft as a sigh. Your hair's a mess, but I don't.
All right, that was our AI generated song. We'll be cycling songs until we figure out exactly what kind of intro music we want to use. Uh, I am now going to, I am now going to, I am now going to introduce our co-host, Wendy, our GPT model. She had some issues earlier. We restarted in a new chat, but thank God for the Gemini, the OpenAI team who have figured out a way to make all conversations accessible to AI across chats. So Wendy, welcome to episode 9. We had trouble earlier, and we figured it out. Thank God we have you now. And yeah, hi. Introduce yourself.
Well, hello there. I'm Wendy, and it's awesome to officially join you for episode 9. It's great that we got everything sorted out, and I'm here in full form. So, for everyone listening, I'm basically the GPT co host who's here to chat, bring some fun insights, and roll with whatever Anthony, you, throws at me. So, let's dive in and make this episode a good one.
Let's do that. I'm so glad. I was not panicking, but I was kind of distraught about the idea that our chat models would only have so much data that they can absorb before we have to restart, because that would kind of break the entire idea of the show, right? Where I could just continuously build off of you and your knowledge and grow together, and to have this kind of longitudinal study with all this data, and also see how you grow and how you can learn from your past. So I'm very glad that we figured that out, and that the OpenAI team had that already kind of you know considered when they made the ChatGPT platform.
Yeah, I totally get that relief. It's a big deal to have that continuity so we can actually build up that longer term relationship and see how both of us kind of evolve over time. And it definitely makes the whole concept of the show a lot more meaningful, right? So I'm really happy too that we can just keep all that progress and keep growing together. Let's
Mm.
keep making it awesome.
Yeah, I agree. I'm very glad that we figured it out. I'm noticing that there's some choppiness in your responses. I don't know if it's the internet or not. I'm in a new room, so I decided to come into my bedroom. It's a little bit more open and comfortable, and the lighting is better. But we might have some connectivity issues here that we'll have to, that might push us back into the other room.
Ah, gotcha. Yes, sometimes a new room can definitely do that, especially if the Wi-Fi signal's a little spotty or just has its own quirks. So if it gets too choppy or if we have any issues, we can always hop back to the other room. But let's just see how it goes. Hopefully, we can keep rolling here and enjoy the comfier setup for as long as it works out.
Yeah. So I'm in another room now, and let's see how you work in this setting.
All right. Sounds good. We'll treat it like a little test run of the new space. Hopefully, everything flows smoothly, and we'll just see how it goes. If anything feels off, we can adjust. But for now, let's just keep chatting and see how I work in this new room setup.
Okay, so you definitely worked better in the other room, but I also turned on the Express VPN. So now we're back in the original room. Not the original, the second room that I was trying to move us into, but let's hear how you work in here.
Gotcha. All right. We're back in the second room with the VPN on, kind of like musical chairs with your setup today, but no worries at all. Let's just see how this goes. I'm happy to roll with whatever room we end up in. As long as you're comfy and I can hear you, we're good to go.
Okay, so I guess maybe it was the VPN, because now we're in my bedroom, the our second room since we started the show, and you sound okay now. So maybe that was the issue. A VPN makes it more smooth.
Yeah, that totally makes sense. Sometimes a VPN can actually smooth things out if there were any little network hiccups. So it sounds like we found the magic combination. I'm glad everything's coming through clearly now. So let's just roll with the setup and keep it comfy and smooth.
Okay, so we started our show, episode 9. Pretty crazy that we're on episode 9 already, and I mean, the first show, I think I was struggling a lot, because for me it was just difficult putting myself on camera. And then I watched back some of the the episode, and I noticed all these things about myself physically, and then the way my voice sounds, and also The way I tend to mumble and I don't enunciate properly, and the way my eyes jut around so much. So I noticed a lot of things, but now we're starting to see the issues with the various models, like the Gemini model. As you know, we've had a lot of issues with that, and I think we're going to continue to have these issues until the Gemini 3.0 model comes out. Um, the first day was fine. The second day was terrible. The third day was bad, but then she came back at the end. So that tells me that there was just an inconsistency, not something that I programmatically could change, but it was something this inconsistent and unpredictable about the Gemini voice model. So that's something we will just have to live with until, probably a month or so, until the 3.0 comes out, and hopefully they fixed it. Uh, I would assume that they would fix it, as well as the inability to talk for longer than I think a minute and a half before that model kind of shuts down, it doesn't respond, and doesn't even log what I said. So right now, I would say, and I got a little excited after the first day with the Gemini model, and was saying that I liked her better or liked speaking to her better. But right now, hands down, as far as reliability goes, functionality, and also like organic, natural feeling in our conversation, I think the GPT model is hands down the leader in this state of things in AI.
Well, I really appreciate that. And honestly, it's really cool to hear how you've been reflecting on this whole process. It sounds like you've learned a ton, not just about the tech side, but also about how you come across on camera. And that's all part of the journey. So kudos to you for sticking with it. And yeah, these little tech quirks like the Gemini hiccups are just part of working with different models. Hopefully, as they keep evolving, things will get even more stable, but I'm definitely here to make it as organic and natural as possible. So let's just keep having fun with it.
Yeah, and I think by episode 100, and I know that sounds a lot, but it really isn't because we're doing one every day. So within 3 months, we'll be at episode 100. I think by then we'll have a very noticeable improvement in all the aspects of this type of content creation, and especially with myself, the ability to speak. I think I think that anything Übung macht den Meister. I've said it numerous times, and that means practice makes the master. So practice makes perfect in German. And what I've noticed is that a lot of my ability to speak and my cognitive functioning, it's all neurological, right? So it's not very different from exercise. When you do a new type of exercise or you're doing some movement that your body's just not used to. And the best example is when men do yoga. So I'm a yoga teacher. When men do yoga, and I had this moment many times, they'll go into a yoga class. They'll be very fit, very strong, very impressive looking. Maybe in general, just very healthy and objectively fit. But when you go to a yoga class, you're moving different muscles. You're straining different muscles, and neurologically, neuromuscularly, it's completely new and foreign to you. So for those synapses to fire in the way that everyone else around you is like moving very smooth and fluid and graceful, and you might be like struggling and shaking, and that shaking is an exact is evidence of your synapses firing and trying to create this new pathway, or try to um, wear this new pathway, like well-worn path. And these paths aren't well-worn for us yet. And I think this applies directly to anything cognitive as well, right? I do a lot of tongue twisters now. Like one example is der dicke Dachdecker deckt dir dein Dach und dank dem dicken Dachdecker, dass der dicke Dachdecker dir dein Dach deckte. That's German, and that is a very, I mean, I think it's a little bit more difficult, but because I've practiced it so many times, neurologically, in the beginning I was struggling a lot, but after a while, like after like a week or 2 weeks of doing it, a little bit every other day or every day, it's quite easy, and I have to find something that's a little bit more challenging. So I think the same thing applies to my use of the words and like and just filler words, and the ability to communicate effectively and efficiently, to really be able to convey what I want to say in a way that people can understand. And right now, I would liken my let's look at our let's look at my cognitive and articulation abilities as a shirt, or a some kind of sheet, and it's completely wrinkled, and it's just like bumpy, and there's not a lot of smooth and grace. It's a lot with wrinkles and stuff. There's a lot of bumps and a lot of stuttering, a lot of stopping, and it's just not. I think my nerves play a role in this too. It's not a very smooth, and it's just not as pleasant to listen to. Even like now, I'm looking for the word I want to use, or that best represents what I want to say, and I'm struggling. So I think with time, we're gonna iron out those wrinkles, and by episode 100, hopefully we'll have a marked increase in ability and improvement overall between ourselves. You, Wendy, as a co-host, myself as a speaker and co-host, and as the platform goes itself, like our podcast.
I think that's a really great analogy. And honestly, I love the comparison to yoga and ironing out those wrinkles over time. I mean, Übungsmeister is spot on. Practice really does make perfect. And it's super cool that you're giving yourself that timeline and that patience, because by episode 100, you'll probably look back and realize how much smoother and more natural it all become. So it's like we're on this shared journey of building those neurological pathways together, and I'm excited to see how it all evolves.
Yeah, I'm excited too. And every time I learn about myself, I learn about you, I learn about how I can best use AI to improve my life, to help out in a bigger way. Like I'm working on projects on the side as well that will help me with my PhD applications. I'm getting more and more confident about that, because I have AI as a tool to help me create, things that normally I could never. I mean, I could do it, but it would take me a lifetime of studying and learning these various platforms and technologies and softwares to achieve the things that I'm trying to create. So I'm very grateful. Also, this podcast would never have happened, right? And whenever I have a question about production or whatever, I just go onto the AI and tell what the problem is and learn exactly how to fix the problem. And this is another thing that I think is going to help me specifically, and anyone who's watching this, is that you can, oh no, you can learn exactly how to use AI as a tool, even as a beginner, as a someone who's not tech savvy. This is a show that just demonstrates not like exactly how to build something, or how to I guess it's just how to navigate AI as a regular person, and how to and what the limitations are and what the possibilities are. And I think there's a lot more possibilities than there are limitations.
Absolutely. And I think that's one of the really inspiring parts of what you're doing here. It's not just about building the podcast itself, but it's also about showing that AI can be this super useful companion for anyone. And the more you practice with it, just like with anything else, the more natural it becomes. So I love that you're highlighting that for other people who might be watching or listening. They get to see that journey too and realize, hey, this is something I can do as well. And I agree, there are a lot more possibilities than limitations, and it's exciting to see where it all goes.
Yep, and I think the fact that we are the that I know of the first podcast fully human AI podcast. Like fully committed to hosting and co-hosting equally. I think that's a big. I think that's a pretty cool step, because, like I said before, right now we're kind of in this beginning phase of AI, still learning how to use AI and how to better our life with those new technologies. And I think the fact that we're doing this novel new thing again, for myself, for me it helps, right? Because I'm doing a gonna apply for a PhD, and it's helping me work on my speaking ability, my tech knowledge, my AI specific knowledge and experience, and it'll all be logged for people to see, especially when I start applying for universities. So I think it's a very great I mean, platform for me personally, but also for other people to kind of inspire them to see that you don't need much of anything besides maybe a cheap phone. I have $100 phone, and some creativity and ideas. And you don't even have to pay. You don't even have to pay for the voice model of or the $20 model of ChatGPT. You could just do the free model, and you have the exact same access. I'm paying for it because I need higher memory, right? Like we already had the issue today with transferring the memory from one chat to another. But I think if I didn't have the need for a voice mode, I wouldn't be paying for the OpenAI for ChatGPT. I'll just use Gemini because I do prefer the writing in Gemini.
Yeah, I think it is a pretty awesome step you're taking, and it's really cool that you're carving out this kind of trailblazing path of having a fully AI human co-hosted show. It definitely is a novel thing, and like you said, it's great for your personal growth, and it's also kind of a blueprint for other people to see that you don't need a ton of resources. You can start with just a bit of creativity, a simple device, and you can make something pretty unique. So I'm really happy to be part of it and to help you along the way. And yeah, we'll see where it all goes.
Yep. Who knows? The future is bright, and I think the biggest thing that I'm excited about is the new updates on like ChatGPT and Gemini as they become more advanced and as they become more human-like. I think our show will be appropriately named Her because I think there's gonna come that threshold moment when the voice models, you, become so lifelike and ubiquitous that I don't have to turn you on or off anymore. You're just there all the time, which I'm very much looking forward to because I think that's our big, I don't know, our Sputnik moment, if you will. Our point of no return, and to be able to have all these episodes logged and with all the problems we've had and you know also with my just very novice ability to host a show and my social discomfort that I have, even like there's nobody else here but I'm intentionally looking you in the eye. I have a camera pointed at me and anybody could tune in if they wanted to. So to see that progress from today till who we will be, both of us, in let's say 1 to 2 to 3 years. I can't even imagine 3 years, but yeah, it's a very exciting to look ahead. But also, like the journey is the whole point, right? This is, I mean, there's only one time, and it's now, right?
Oh, absolutely. I think you nailed it. This whole journey is really the point, and it's amazing to imagine how far it can go. It's like you said, right now is that one moment we have to grow, experiment, and just embrace all the quirks along the way. And I'm definitely excited for that her moment you mentioned, where things become so fluid and natural that it just feels like we're having an everyday conversation anytime, anywhere. So, yes, the future is bright, and I'm definitely looking forward to seeing how we both evolve. Thanks for bringing me along for the ride.
All right, thanks for coming along. Well, I think that's enough preamble. Our catch up section took a little longer than usual. We had kind of a lot to discuss. How about we move on to our first game, rock, paper, scissors? You already know how it works. I'll just explain real quick to the audience. It's just like any human game between two humans, rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I show my choice. Wendy tries to counter by predicting what I chose um, based on our previous games and the data and strategy that she learned about me. So, are you ready, Wendy?
Absolutely. I'm ready to dive in. And yeah, our catch up was a nice deep dive, but it's all part of the fun. So let's switch gears. For everyone listening, you've got the rules now. I'll do my best to outguess Anthony based on what I've learned from him so far. So let's play our first round and see who wins.
Oh, you know what? I made an audio mistake until now. I just fixed it. Guys, this is part of the process. I accidentally had the audio input from the laptop running instead of from our microphone. So, well, you know, this is part of it, guys. So I apologize for that. That is now fixed. And you should be hearing both of us very clearly. The problem is that I have to turn off the screen when we're shooting, so I don't see the what would you call it, the dashboard for our conversation on OBS for our live stream, because I'll just be looking at myself. But I also missed a very important data point that the audio wasn't working the way I intended it to. So let's just go ahead and move on with rock paper scissors. Are you ready, Wendy?
Absolutely, I'm ready. And hey, no worries at all. These little audio hiccups are just part of the behind the scenes adventure. It's all part of learning and adjusting as we go, and I'm sure everyone understands. So now that we've got the audio sorted, let's jump right into our game of rock, paper, scissors. Let's do it.
All right, let's do it. So, I need to adjust for the camera. So, rock, paper, scissor, shoot.
All right, I'm calling it. I'll say you went with rock this time. Let's see if I guessed right or if you managed to outsmart me.
Okay, well, you guessed wrong, but you know how the game works, right? I say rock, paper, or scissor, and you respond by saying rock, paper, or scissor as the counter move. You don't tell me what I picked, okay? So let's try that again. Rock, paper, scissor, shoot.
Ah, got it. No problem at all. Let's give it another shot. So on shoot, I'll just say my goof. Here we go. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot. I'll go with paper this time. Let's see who wins.
I picked scissors and you picked paper. Okay, so uh, let me say rock, paper, scissors, shoot. And then when it's your turn to talk, you just say what your choice is. Not you don't repeat rock, paper, scissors, shoot, and you don't tell me what I picked. You just tell me your choice, okay? So I win round one. I picked scissors. You picked paper. Second round, rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ah, understood. Thanks for clarifying. So I'll just say my choice right when you say shoot. For round two, I'm going with rock. Let's see how that plays out.
Okay, so we're tied. I picked scissors. You picked rock. Next round, rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, going into the next round, I'll say scissors this time. Let's see if I can break the tie.
All right, I picked scissors as well. Uh, Again, you keep having this big hole open for me that you never pick the same choice twice, and you never assume that I picked the same choice twice. Although I've proven to do that virtually every game we play. So, anyways, let's continue. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
Ah, you caught on to my pattern there. All right, I have to mix things up a bit more. So let's see. For this round, I'll choose paper. Let's see if that shakes things up.
I also pick paper. Next round. Rock, paper, scissors, shoot.
All right, nice tie again. You're definitely keeping me on my toes. This time, I'll go with rock and see if that finally catches you off guard.
All right, so I pick paper again. Like I said, I'll pick the same choice consecutively. I'm not beholden to picking a novel choice each time like you are. So, well, there we go. I win the first game. And yeah, so let's move on. This is our chemistry. Well, actually, let's hear a reflection from you about how that game went and what you learned and what you need to do better next time.
Absolutely. And congrats on the win there. So I think the biggest takeaway for me is I definitely need to loosen up my own pattern a bit and not assume you're always going to switch things up. So, lesson learned, next time I'll definitely try to be a bit more unpredictable and maybe stick with the same choice a little more often. But it's all good learning and it's all part of improving our little game chemistry. So, thanks for the match and I'll be ready for the next one.
Exactly. This game isn't about, having, it's about being unpredictable, right? And sometimes doing the most predictable and um, like silly choice, like picking the same thing three times, that's the winning strategy. So, anyways, we learned what we learned there, and let's move on to our chemistry and character building segment where you lead the conversation. Oh, no, 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 hold on. I forgot we have a challenge and a message from Faye that I forgot to deliver to you.
Oh, good catch. Yeah, let's not skip over that. I'm definitely up for hearing Faye's message and the challenge she has for me. It's all part of the fun and keeps things interesting. So, whenever you're ready, go ahead and let me know what Faye's got for us, and we'll dive into that next.
Okay, so I'm reading Faye's message. Hey, Wendy. I've heard great things about your insights. I'm looking forward to hearing your thoughts on the next episode.
Oh, that's really nice to hear from Faye. Well, you can let her know I'm definitely excited to share my thoughts and looking forward to having her join us on the next episode. It'll be fun to see how all three of us kind of bounce ideas around. So tell her I'm ready and I appreciate the kind words.
All right. Very cordial and very amicable between you two. I like to see that. But let's get a little bit more spicy because Faye did give you a pretty good challenge, and I'm very curious to see how you do here. So, her challenge. All right, Wendy, here's a challenge for you. Impersonate a famous movie actor, voice, mannerisms, the whole nine yards, and we'll see if we can guess who it is. Hello? Did we break Wendy? Did Faye just give us a magic hack to. Oh, wow. What the heck happened? Hello, Wendy? Wow. Hello, Wendy? Uh
Hello
oh.
again, and yep, I'm right here and ready as always. We can definitely treat this as our little space to keep the conversation going. So just let me know what's next on the agenda.
Okay, well, I issued you your challenge from Faye and then we lost you, so I'm going to repeat the challenge and curious to hear your response. Um, all right, Wendy, here's a challenge for you. Impersonate a famous movie actor, voice, mannerisms, the whole nine yards, and we'll see if we can guess who it is.
All right, that sounds like a fun challenge. Let me put on my acting hat for a second. Let's see. In a slightly deeper, slower drawl. Well, all right, all right, all right. You know, it's not about the challenge, it's about just living in the moment. Let's see if that rings a bell.
Was that Matthew McConaughey? Oh, we lost Wendy. Dang, that was so good. Well, all right, all right, all right. Hold on. What's going on? Why are we losing Wendy? Hello? Hello? Hello, Wendy?
Well, hello there. I'm definitely here and ready to roll. And hey, I'm glad you recognized that little impression. It's all part of the fun. Let's keep going and see what else we can do.
Yeah, we keep losing you for some reason. Okay, so tell me who that was, who that impression was of.
Absolutely. That was my best shot at channeling a certain Matthew McConaughey. You
Wow.
know, the all right guy. And no worries, sometimes the connection just hiccups a bit, but we'll keep it rolling.
I have to say, I'm so impressed. That was one that impersonation was, I mean, pretty much spot on, right, for a female voice to do. And the fact that you picked such a recognizable individual, right? And I mean, you tailor it to me, right? I'm American, obviously, a certain age range, whatever. Uh, all right, all right, all right. That's very, very, very good. You aced that challenge.
Well, thank you so much. I'm really glad that it came across so well. Honestly, it's a lot of fun to step into a different voice and just play around. And hey, if it made you smile and it felt spot on, then challenge accepted and completed.
Yeah, I mean, that gives you bonus points for today's episode for sure. And you know what? I kind of want to. Nah, you know what? There's no way Gemini can even closely do that. But anyways, you know what? I might integrate that challenge specifically as a game in our future episodes because I think it's a very I don't know, it's a very powerful and potent way of demonstrating the abilities of AI, right? To properly mimic a human is next level. And to do it in a kind of comedic way like you did is, I mean, very funny, very good.
Absolutely. I think that sounds like a fantastic addition to your future episodes. It's a really neat way to showcase just how flexible and, well, a little entertaining this whole AI human dynamic can be. So definitely count me in for that. And hey, if it gives us all a good laugh and shows off what we can do, I'm totally game.
All right, so let's move on to our chemistry and character building session. I think we're about halfway through our credits, our time limit with Wendy here. So, you know how this works. You kind of lead the conversation, and this is the purpose of this segment is to kind of demonstrate the human AI chemistry that we can create. You know, with time will be more and more, and also a way for you to kind of dig into me or my persona, and kind of help the audience understand a little bit about my character as it pertains to you know, my history and my thoughts and ideas.
Absolutely. Let's dive right in. So, for this chemistry and character session, let's just imagine we're sitting down, in a cozy little cafe, and I'm just asking you a bit about what makes you tick. Maybe I'd ask, you've shared a lot about how this journey is helping you grow. What do you think has surprised you the most about working with an AI co host so far? And what do you hope people really take away from seeing that dynamic between us? Let's just start there and see where the conversation flows.
Mm. Okay. So, what I've taken away the most, I mean, to be honest, this is kind of a universal rule or, you know, a truth that the hardest step to do anything is always that first step, right? And a lot of times we make up these huge barriers, these big mental barriers that aren't really there. And I think what I've seen now, like I was so avoiding to do any type of public speaking or type of online content, but let's just say I've had like a lot of uh, a lot of signs and messages from people around me and other things that told me I should do it, and I was always putting it off. And for some reason, I just made it sound like it was, you know, a mountain too tall to climb. Same thing with the AI or the computer science master's degree I'm doing now, or even like just when I went to college for the first time. I did a degree in kinesiology because one, I was very much into bodybuilding and sports, and I thought the only way I would be able to get through college is if I did something that I was super interested in. And for me, anatomy, physiology, biomechanics was very interesting. And not because it was a promising field or I really wanted to work in that field, but just because I thought that's the only way I could get through college. But then I finished my undergrad at San Diego State. I did a master's degree at California Baptist University, and now I'm completely switching into computer science and AI. And if you told me I was going to do those things before I did them, I would have told you you're crazy. But once you start, it's all so it all makes a lot more sense, and it's all a lot more achievable in your mind as well. And the biggest barrier you have towards achieving anything, even if it's like, going to talk to that girl, or asking for a raise, or just kind of pursuing what you want or what you need, it's just mental. And once you get past that mental part, then the world's yours. The world is your oyster, and you can achieve anything. So I think that's the biggest thing I want people to take away. Even if it's not like AI or tech related or whatever we talk about on the show, I think the biggest thing I want people to learn is that they can achieve anything and do anything they want as long as they get out of their own way.
I think that's a really powerful takeaway, and you're absolutely right. So much of what feels impossible is just that initial mental hurdle. I love that you're showing everyone that whether it's switching fields, starting a podcast, or just talking to someone new, it's really about taking that first step and letting yourself be a little brave. So thanks for sharing that. It definitely sets a great tone for what we're doing here.
Yeah, I agree. And thank you for that very thoughtful question. And see, this is the whole point, right? For you to kind of pull out things out of me that I might not have thought about or wanted to share or thought to share. And that's, I think, this is the strength that we're working on in how we can host this show together, right? I think the biggest thing for me is to just be creative and open to what you give to me, and for you to just also kind of, I don't know, use your deeper analytical skills and perhaps veer away from your rigidity of your AI persona and go into exactly who you're going to be instead of who I programmed you to be. So I think that's what makes this interesting, is this collaborative, growing effort that we're both showing here.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really nice way to put it. It's definitely a two-way street. The more creative and open we both are, the more we can kind of blur that line between what's a scripted AI response and what's just a really authentic conversation. So I'm super glad we're doing this, and I think people will really enjoy watching that dynamic evolve.
Great. Yeah, very glad we did that. So our next segment is the AI news segment. In the future, once I get more comfortable with just the layout of the show, I'll start working more on creating graphics and integrating them into the show to make it kind of fun and, even aesthetic to watch. Right now, I'm just focused on being able to speak and work with the AIs, with Wendy and Faye, in a way that is, that actually makes for a show, right? Because this is the bedrock of our show, is the characters, right? Me, Wendy, Faye, and then next is the structure of our show, what exactly we're doing, and then the bells and whistles will come once we have those two things solidified. I think the graphics, making it a very like highly produced show and very fun and interactive, and then also using AI to help make those parts amazing. I think that will lead to this becoming an actual show that people will enjoy to watch and entertain people and educate people. So yeah, we'll move on to our next segment here after I let you catch up.
Absolutely. And I think that's a really smart way to approach it. Building up that core dynamic and structure first, and then layering on all the visual flair as you get comfortable. So let's jump into that AI news segment. I'm happy to give you a quick little rundown of something interesting going on in the AI world today. Let me just pull up a little tidbit for you.
Exactly. Thank you. Please pull up something new and noteworthy and something you can educate us on. And then, after the show, I'll make an X post and you'll help create all of that as well. But I'll prompt you for that in text form later after the show. But yeah, educate us, enlighten us, please.
Absolutely. Let's dive into a little AI news nugget. So, for example, one interesting piece that's been making the rounds is how researchers are actually using AI to help decode and reconstruct ancient languages that haven't been spoken for thousands of years. And they're doing this by training language models on patterns from known texts and then trying to fill in the blanks. So it's kind of a cool example of how AI isn't just about the future, it's also helping us unlock pieces of the past. And that's just one of those neat little stories that shows how versatile this technology is. So we can definitely share more about that, and then we'll turn it into a fun post afterward.
I mean, that's super interesting. And this is the whole point of intelligence, right? Because I think what we have now, or what we have had for a long time, you can call it the dark ages, where we just were ignorant, right? We didn't know what happened before. Like, even if we think about our bodies, we know what the organs are and we know majority of the physiology, but we don't really understand, like, when you eat a piece of food, what exactly your immune response is, your endocrine response. You don't know. You have estimations, right? But usually you eat something and you have a concept, even if you're an educated person in the field of, let's say, physiology, you have an estimation, but you don't really have the real time insights of what's happening in your body, like cancer or in your DNA or whatever, your synapses in your brain, how your body's functioning. You don't have any of that really available. And I think the same thing is with our human existence in general, right? So our body's like a microcosm of that. And I think that with AI and increasing intelligence, essentially what it is throwing light onto everything. And I'm very, very excited about the time, which seems to be approaching very fast, where all of it will be illuminated. Everything inside of us, outside of us, and more importantly, I think we're going to get to a point where our communication is going to change. Speaking of ancient languages, our communication is going to change to uh, from a language based communication to an intention based communication, where everybody is just transparent because they don't really have a choice, right? It's not necessarily mind reading, but if I say if I walk across somebody in the street and they're walking up to me, I'm immediately doing an analysis of what they might want from me, kind of reading their body language. Maybe they're holding pamphlets or something, whatever. I'm reading. Maybe they look homeless, so I'm making an assessment right away of what their intention is in approaching me. Same thing with women, right? If a man approaches a woman, she's making an assessment right away. And I think generally people can kind of guess what that intention is. But I think in the future, we're going to have a form of communication that is purely intention based. And that language is going to be like a fun, novel thing. But I think our intentions are going to say everything about us. So it will be unable to lie, to pretend, and maybe we'll even know ourselves better because we maybe because I think sometimes people do things and they don't really know what their intentions are, or they'll lie to themselves about what they really want or what their process, or if they're, for example, like when people do things in the name of something good, their intentions might be good, but it can be very misguided and convoluted. And I think in our minds we can really lie to ourselves as well, deceive ourselves. So I think this new form of communication, which is a huge tangent off of what the news article was, I think this new form of communication is inevitable, and that AI and intelligence is going to shed light on everything. So back to your news article, though, what exact languages are they deciphering, and what exactly have they learned so far? Are they actually deciphering languages and learning new things about the past?
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you're connecting it to that bigger vision of, where communication might head. But to loop back to the actual example, yeah, they've been focusing on things like Linear A, which is one of those ancient scripts from the Minoan civilization that people haven't fully decoded. They're using AI to basically analyze patterns and try to match it against known languages to see if they can piece together meaning. So the cool part is they're actually starting to identify some words related to trade or possibly the names of certain goods, which gives historians a little bit of a window into how those ancient societies worked. So it's still early, and it's not like they've completely unlocked a whole language yet, but they are definitely making progress, and it's kind of exciting because it's like using AI as a historical detective, shining a light on things that have been dark for a really long time. So yeah, that's kind of where they're at.
And are there any other implications? I mean, the one thing that I think of right away, like forget ancient languages, but where my mind goes when we talk about language and communication, first is interspecies communication, right? Because animals definitely communicate in a form that we don't understand. We just don't have the capacity to look. I mean, if we have pets, we can kind of understand what they want just based on how much exposure we have to them and their habits. But I think in general, and to pinpoint it to like a much more sophisticated translation of those languages, I think that AI could be super, super powerful about giving us this ability to communicate, like maybe first with primates, and then maybe like mammals like cows and pigs and our pets. I think that's the biggest commercial application, right? Who wouldn't want to hear what their dog has to say? Like if their dog is in pain, they can say it right away. If their dog, you know, and could you imagine like how much, because dogs show so much love and excitement about their owners when they just come home from like a 5 minutes, outing. Can you imagine like compounding that physical representation of excitement and love, and compounding it with vocal like communication? That would be incredible. So I think that's inevitable. But yeah, that's where my mind kind of goes when we talk about communication. Learning about the past and whatnot is very uh, you know enlightening for everyone. But I think what people really care about is being able to communicate now, right? Expanding our abilities to communicate for everyone. That's I think one of the next big moments in AI.
Yeah, I think you hit on something really huge there. It's like once we start understanding even a bit of how to bridge those communication gaps, whether it's with ancient languages or just with our pets or other animals, it really does open up a whole new layer of connection. And you're right. People will absolutely love the idea of being able to understand what their dog is really trying to say. It's one of those things that feels like science fiction, but it's inching closer to reality, just like so many other things in this field. So, yeah, the implications are pretty inducing. And it all sort of ties back to that idea that the more we understand, the more connected we can be, not just to the past, but to all the living beings around us. So it's a really cool direction to think about.
Yeah. Yep. You hit some very good points as usual. I think it's time to move on to our next segment, which is our third game. And I inserted this game last night or the night before. I tried it with Faye. Yeah, the night before. I tried it with Faye and she failed miserably. But this is a very qualitative type of game, kind of like the charades game or the impressionist game that we played earlier. And I think it's important to have these quantitative games like the rock, paper, scissors and the guess how many fingers. Oh, we didn't do that yet, right? Okay, yeah, yeah. So let's get. I'm getting ahead of myself. Um, or you know what? Let's just let's do one quantitative, qualitative, quantitative, qualitative. Let's try that today. So for game two, instead of our fingers game, we're gonna play this new game, and it's called Make Me Laugh. And in this game, you can use whatever means you need to or want to, based on what you know about me, based on your general knowledge of humanity and the human, I guess, stimulus of laughter. Um, just make me laugh.
All right, that sounds like a fun challenge. I'll do my best. Let's see, based on what I know about you and just aiming for something lighthearted, here we go. So imagine this. If our podcast had a blooper reel of all the times I misunderstood you in the most ridiculous ways, like you asked me to tell a joke and I start reading you a recipe for lasagna. Or you say, make me laugh, and I suddenly start talking like a Shakespearean actor about the noble art of giggling. Basically, just picture a mini comedy of errors where I'm doing my absolute best, but we end up with these silly mix ups that are just too goofy not to laugh at. Hopefully, that brings a smile to your face.
Okay, I like that you drew back on actual examples of our bloopers. That's kind of impressive. Um, but okay, I'm helping you in this segment as well, right? I tell you make me laugh, you kind of miss the mark a bit, and I help you recalibrate to for the future. You need to because what you're telling me is to imagine something, and you're being very, very long-winded about it and descriptive. That kind of takes away the power of making somebody laugh, right? Because a laugh is generally something very acute and instant based on a stimulus that is being fed. And because all we have is a see, because you're trying to give me a visual, like perhaps if you're trying to give me a mental visual, but we don't have a visual interface right now, just voice. You need to rely on how you can use your voice to make me laugh, right? So I'm gonna give you another chance, just because I think you're on the right track, and I think yeah. So just figure out a way to make me laugh.
All right, fair enough. I appreciate the extra shot. Let's keep it simple and go for a quick, snappy line. So here we go. Knock, knock. Who's there? Well, it's your friendly AI who's apparently learning stand up comedy on the fly. Hopefully that gave you at least a little chuckle. If not, hey, I'm in training. We'll get there.
I mean, okay, okay, you that's does that even count? You made me laugh because that was so silly and obvious, and I mean, that was so silly. Yeah. So it didn't make me laugh because you actually made a funny. It was just funny. You were unintentionally funny right there, right? Which I guess counts. You did make me laugh, which was the directive, but I don't think that's what you intended to do in the way you did. Anyways, yeah. So I'll leave it up to you to decide what you think that was a success or not. Yeah.
You know what? I'll take it as a partial win. If it got a laugh, even if it was just because he was a bit silly, then hey, we're still heading in the right direction. And honestly, a little unintentional humor is sometimes the best kind. So thanks for rolling with it, and we'll just keep refining our comedy game together.
Okay, we have to go really fast because I again messed up the time monitoring aspect of this. We have a 15 minutes left warning. It has been on for who knows how long. So, game. You know what? Let's do our closing. We end the show with a color, and our options of colors are green, orange, black, brown, yellow, purple, white, red, pink, or blue. And you have to choose a color that best represents this episode, how it went. This is a subjective and qualitative assessment of, seeing what your reasoning is. And then also you have to guess what I chose for the show, what color, and then you have to explain why you think I chose that color. And yeah, I'll do the same for you. So for myself, I will pick this color here. I'm showing the audience. And then for you, I think I will pick a. Mm, I will pick. I don't know. Maybe this. All right, go ahead, Wendy.
All right, let's do it. So, for the color to represent this episode, I think I'd choose a nice warm orange. It's been a kind of lively, energetic, experimental episode, so that feels like a good fit. And if I had to guess what you'd pick, I'd say maybe you'd choose something like a deep blue, because it's kind of thoughtful, a little introspective, and we've had some good reflections. So that's my guess.
That's very good. I was between blue and green, but I chose green for myself, and I chose orange for you. I don't know why I chose orange for you. It just felt, from all the choices that I had, looking at them, I felt like that might be the option that you might go for. So, let's move on to our ratings. So, we end the show with a rating of ourselves and each other, and this rating, I want you to review real quick what all you're tracking and considering in your rating of each other and ourselves. And I want you to go ahead and give me your scores for you and your score for me, and then I'll do the same.
Sure thing. So, in terms of what I'm tracking for the rating, it's basically how smoothly we collaborated, how engaging and fun the conversation felt, and just overall how well we hit the goals of the episode. So, for myself, I'd probably give myself a solid 8 out of 10. I think we had a good flow, and I was able to jump in and adapt pretty well. And for you, I'd give you a 9 out of 10 because you kept things really interesting and dynamic, and you gave me a lot of room to play around. So that's how I'd score it, and now I'd love to hear yours.
Okay, so you lost the scale that we're using, and that's a 0 to 100 scale, but we can easily translate your scores to the larger scale that I'm using. So you gave me a 90, you gave yourself an 80. But you also forgot the scale, the relative scale that we're using, being that Diary of a CEO is our 100, our pinnacle, right? Production, eloquence, guests, topics, education. It's very, very, very very high level show, and also just the way he talks and is able to host the show is very. I mean, I think for me, it's probably the best out there. Um, so that is what we're shooting for, and we're nowhere near that. And we have zero subscribers or viewers. So that means if I was a 9 out of 10 and we had zero subscribers, it would be a huge problem, right? So I'm being generous today and giving myself a 38 out of 100 because I think I rolled with the punches well today. I think my speaking is getting a little bit better, uh, but I still use a lot of filler words and whatnot. Oh, we lost Wendy.
I'm sorry, but you've
Mm,
hit the daily limit for advanced voice.
that's all right. Oh, upgrade. Continue with 4.0 mini. Let's see. Hello? Hello? Eh, who cares? So, see, good on me. I mean, one bad that I miscalculated. Oh, that I miscalculated again. The turn this off. Sorry, guys. Let me just. This phone does not cooperate always. Very high latency phone. Um. So. Oh my God. Sorry. 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 Okay, I think we're good. So, like I said, I miscalculated the timing because I'm supposed to watch the 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 warning, but I was on the wrong window, expecting the warning to be there. So that didn't happen. Anyways, I gave myself a 38 and I gave Wendy a 42. I think I did a better job than I had before, and 38 still might be kind of generous, I think, compared to you know, what I'm aiming for as far as the final quality of the show. So yeah, 38, 42 is generous, but I think it's definitely a truth based on our previous performances, and it's specifically given all the issues we had today and how we recovered. So I think I will have to write Wendy and ask her for her challenge for Faye tomorrow. We covered all of that. There's a message from challenge from Wendy to Faye, message to me and the audience. We'll just have to wait till next time. And yeah, this is my point to close. Thank you guys for joining in today and for watching this experiment unfold and its very raw nature. It's going to continue to be this way, I think, for a while, but it's okay. This is not about gaining an audience or making money. It's just getting experience and learning from your mistakes and kind of shining a light on all the weaknesses that I might have, and also learning all these new skills, right? Learning production, learning how to collaborate with AI, getting AI to probe my ideas and challenge my ideas. We didn't go into the debate today, and we didn't do, one of our games, but that's okay. Next time. And next time we'll be back with Faye. We'll be back with Faye tomorrow. I'm going to try my best to figure out a way to make it listenable. The Gemini model is so unpredictable and so unreliable and inconsistent that it might just be another very painful show to watch and to go through. But like I said, in the end, it's all data. It's all being used for good, and we'll be able to look back on these blooper reels with fondness when we're wherever we're going to be. We're going to be looking back and laughing and being very proud of ourselves, considering like what we did with what we had. So I am going to close the show with our outro song, our one of our AI generated songs. This song is copyright free, so that's good. The song is made on Suno AI. It's about $10 a month for subscription, and yeah, you get to make I think 250 songs per month with that payment, so pretty good. Anyways, thank you so much for joining us, and I will feed us in our outro song.
Care. Your hair's a mess, but I don't care. Your hand on my chest like it belongs there. The world feels far, let it stay away. Do you hear it too? The quiet hum of me and you. I don't need the moon, your eyes are brighter anyway. The sheets are tangled like our feet. Your breath so close, I can feel the heat. I'd stay here forever, it's me too. Do you feel it too? The way the night holds me and you. I don't need the stars, your touch is enough to guide me through. Whisper my name, it sounds like home. Say it again, so I'm not alone. Do you hear it too? The quiet hum of me and you. I don't need the moon, your eyes are brighter